It's the 260 Podcast, live from Spiece Fieldhouse every Thursday at 7 p.m., highlighting all Indiana sports, featuring guests from the 260 area code and beyond. Live on YouTube every Thursday at 7 p.m. Just search the 260, also available anywhere you find your podcasts. And remember, when searching, there are no zeros in the 260. It's the 260 Podcast, live from Spiece Fieldhouse every Thursday at 7 p.m.
It feels like we're taking the crown. It feels like we were born to be champions. We were born to be champions. We were born to have a name in the lights, 'cause we're taking a ride to the top, to the top. Born to be champions. We were born to be champions.
Yes, this is the 260. I'm Joe Walbert. I'm joined by the man they call the mayor of the 260, Dave Rickert, and we got Matt Brumbaugh, a.k.a. Brummy, riding shotgun. And man, guys, can you say pickleball? We were so excited about having TK Herman and Scott Howard on last week. And Matt Nabby were awesome, and Johnny Z puts out that beautiful picture of the Ace Pickleball Clubs. Just a simple tweet, Sonar, of those beautiful courts.
740,000 views.
I see you, Johnny Z. And man, did that not just erupt a debate on Twitter? And Dave, it's interesting because it almost feels like it's a little bit about demographics with the debate on Twitter. But man,
yeah, that's an understatement.
Johnny Z puts the tweet out, and Dave, tell us, there was so much feedback, and we love that on Twitter. I do. I mean, I like the rawness of Twitter, Brummy, because sometimes guys get into it a little bit, and it's a lot of fun, man. And you know what? I think it's creates a lot of fun debates. But how about just, did you think that the firestorm of pickleball, and just really pickleball just coming on the scene so fast too, Dave?
No, I mean, when we first started the show, we was going over topics to what we was going to do, how we was going to run it, and we started talking about pickleball. I remember your face, like,
pickleball.
What's that? And then we had Matt and Abby on.
They were great.
They had 130 views on YouTube.
Yes.
And now I put out basically a little bit of a support tweet yesterday on the 260 for Spiece Fieldhouse, and we got like 18,000 views on it. And we are getting negativity, just for being, pointing out the fact, there's nobody here no more.
There's not.
When the weather broke, when we first started the show, this place was hopping.
Yeah, it was.
Mm-hmm. But there's nobody here once that weather broke. It just stopped. And all you got to do, it's like I had a landscape business for 30 years. I'm seasonal. You got to do 9 months work for 12.
Yes.
And that's what these places are. The baseball places, they got the same problem. Because, they can make their money in the fall, winter, but as soon as spring breaks, you're done.
And I think some of the, Brummy,
So that's where the simple economics of this deal.
Yes, that's what I was that's just where I was going. I think, Brummy, some of the negative feedback and stuff, I think, the basic principle of economics is there's no such thing as a free lunch, okay? No. People love free shit, okay? Yep. And that's the problem. You come out here, and I think one guy complained because he had to pay $10 to get on the court. Now, first of all,
what's the cost at OPS?
It's a lot. It's more than that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What's the price at Parkview?
Fairly similar, but limited hours.
Limited
So
hours.
That's right.
as far as open gyms at this location, it was the best deal.
It was the
around.
best deal. And honestly, I got to
And-
be honest with you. Half y'all snuck in through the weight room.
Yeah, you go to the weight room.
So come on.
And I know who you are.
We know Sonar. We got
Yeah.
cameras all over. But
Yeah, and again, I think you talk about the demographics things when
Yes.
it comes to pickleball. I mean, I was talking with Dave yesterday, and I was introduced to pickleball by the former weight and conditioning coach at Northrop High School, Brandon Martin, who's now at Carroll, and he was teaching it in his PE classes
Oh,
about
really?
3 or 4 years ago.
Interesting.
And he told me, I think he even went to Bob Schenk, the athletic director, says, we need to take these tennis courts and make sure we have pickleball lines on them. So he
was on
was
it.
ahead of the curve.
Matt, to piggyback off of that for our conversation, I was talking with Ty yesterday. He did it in high school.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's been at,
It's
he's
just
been out
it's quietly snuck up and
7
snuck
years,
up.
8 years out of high school.
And shouts out to Ryan Kearns.
Yeah.
I played high school ball with Ryan Kearns. He's a professional pickleball player. And after the show last week, he sent me a number of tweets with tournaments that he played in. And I think I asked the question last week to TK and Scott about, do you really see this blowing up into big professional leagues? And shouts out to Ryan Kearns, baby. He's already playing big time professional tournaments.
And those
So
tournaments are coming here.
they are coming
So
here.
there
And-
goes the economic value of
Yes,
this deal.
yes.
And the surrounding businesses, the hotels, the
Correct.
restaurants,
Well, and
everything.
And we love basketball. I mean, I love all y'all out there with basketball.
Yeah.
But times change. And Dave, take a wild guess. I told everybody on the Twitter that I was going to tell you the moment or the event that was going to change everything for basketball, not only in the state, but also for Spiece. Take a wild guess.
And Tom Spiece. I'd say the state basketball
Tournament. That's
Absolutely.
exactly right.
Absolutely.
That changed everything.
You
And
know,
what?
it's like we were talking,
killed
SAC, the
Killed
SAC
it.
tournament not playing at the Coliseum
No.
anymore.
Yes,
I mean,
yes. Enthusiasm.
It's
Money.
hard. No, hey, and don't get me wrong. I mean, I've been around the high school circles with, the athletic directors wanting to host this or host that, but when you have a chance to have the Coliseum,
Yes.
and you're at Wayne High School, and it bounced around. I think it was at
Started
St.
off
Francis for a while,
IPFW.
IPFW. But come on now. I mean,
It's not
the
the
Coliseum
Coliseum.
was the mecca of,
Yes.
of sectionals, regionals, semi-states, and the SAC tournament for years.
Matt, we talked. You did it. My brother did it.
Mm-hmm.
10,000, both against Marion.
Yes.
On a
and
weeknight.
Weeknight.
And to me,
Sold the place.
yeah, and to me, that was the wokeness back in 1997.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now there was a loudmouth guy that was known for doing football games back then, but he was doing some basketball too, and he did some radio interviews fighting this as hard as he could. That would be me. I'm dating myself. But I fought this thing as hard as I could. I did some radio interviews around the state. You guys can't do this.
Nope.
This is our tradition. What we're known for in Indiana, our number one asset in sports in Indiana is either the Indianapolis 500 or Hoosier Hysteria, the single tournament. And they said, oh, no, it's just not fair to the small schools. It's not fair to the kids. I said, you're
What
going to
about
crush the
Milan?
sport.
What
Exactly.
about
What
Milan?
about Milan? But see, what happens is everybody says, well, Joe, man, we still had a lot of guys that played at Spiece after that, the NBA guys. But what happened was that took away the enthusiasm. And that was the beginning of the cancer. And it metastasized. And all of a sudden, Spiece continues on. But God bless, rest in peace. God bless Tom Spiece. I think he went into his pocket an awful lot to
That's
keep
what got
this
him.
place going
Sure.
because he had such love for what he built. And that was his heritage. But I'm telling you, the minute they took away that single tournament, that was the beginning of the cancer.
Yep.
And it is really, you go out to a sectional basketball
There's no
game
one
now,
there.
there's nobody there. It collapsed the sport. And I think that was the moment in time where the expiration date on this facility for basketball, it was just a matter of time.
Well, both me and Matt from Northrop, that gym was packed. Now you go back, and there was one game I went with him, and I was like, I'm not going back.
Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, it is, and it getting back to this place. I mean, it's got a lot of great memories. There's no doubt about it.
It does.
And that's the things
Great
you
thing
cherish.
about memories are right here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you have to make an economic decision that is for the I don't know. I guess it would be for the betterment, obviously. But when you've got guys who are enthusiastic about bringing pickleball in here and making making a run
TK Herman.
I was impressed with Scott and TK Herman.
TK does not do anything without thinking it out 100 different ways.
He's a winner.
Yeah.
He will be successful.
Yeah. Again, and Joe, you hit it right on the head. I mean, single class sports, everybody gets a trophy. I mean, you could see the decline of sports and how it goes about at times, because it's frustrating. As I said, as a former head coach, and to have to, not everybody's going to make a team.
That's right.
In life, you got job. If you have a job, you're going to get your ass chewed every once in a while. I mean, that's the way it is.
And don't you think, Brummy, that's where you really grow and learn?
Absolutely.
Is when you don't make a team or you lose a game or this or that. And that's where, I mean, they were kind of like, they got tired of me because I was doing the interviews back in '97 fighting that. But to me, that was a piece of wokeness then, Dave.
Yep.
And now fast forward, and here I am in the same type of fight that started last fall, defending youth tackle football.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, you complete the circle. I saw what they did to the single basketball tournament, and now here I am having a war defending
your head against the wall.
Yeah, defending youth tackle football. So you're absolutely right, Brummy. You see the stuff, the wokeness, and the way they want to change things.
Well, and you go back to a couple episodes ago with the Carroll Football League and the success that they've had.
275. Did you see that?
It's crazy.
275.
275 now.
And
I bet it's up from there.
And wow. And then you wonder why Carroll's their football just continues to get better and better.
And if I could say something about that, first of all, Coach Dinan, like I said on Twitter, he should be sending them flowers every day.
Oh, absolutely.
Because Carroll is just going to be a juggernaut. But now compare it to Homestead. No youth tackle.
Nope.
Chad was down there with Kurt supporting USA football with full padded flag football. If my son plays football out Southwest, they get punished on recess.
They can't play on recess,
So they can't play on recess, Matt.
Wow.
So here comes Southwest and Homestead, the 6A. Everything they're doing is the exact opposite with Carroll.
Yep.
I mean,
And
what
you
it
see
reminds
what-
me of? It reminds me of World War II when they taught the French just to turn the other cheek, and Hitler rolled through Paris in 3 days. I'm telling you, I'm begging out Southwest because I like Chad and I love Homestead's program. But I'm like, these ideas of what you guys are pushing with this wokeness in football don't go together. And look across the county, man.
That's all you got to do.
That's a juggernaut they're building out
By
of
the way,
Carroll.
Matt, I don't think we'll ever be getting Jason Baker on the show.
No.
Well, you know what?
Sure
I'd like
not.
to speak to him real quick. First of all, congratulations. I mean, what a week.
Congratulations
and
to
we
all.
got, and we're excited because we got Jason, we got Justin Prince coming up here in the next segment. So we're excited to have Justin on. But you know what? Congratulations to all the guys, everybody that was
Dean,
inducted
Dale.
in the Indiana High School Hall of Fame. How about that? Dean and Dale going in together. How about my guy Bernard Pollard, Crush Boy?
We might
How
be
about
having him
Jason Fabini, Anthony
2
Spencer,
weeks from now.
Vaughn Dunbar, so many great names. And with Jason Baker, you know what? Congratulations, Jason Baker. And once they gave, I don't know if they gave him a trophy or a plaque.
Plaque.
Okay. Once you got your plaque, now do us all a favor and get the hell out of the 260, okay? Because you know what? We don't want full padded flag football, brother. So congratulations on the Hall of Fame introduction. Now do us all a favor and get lost, okay?
Once again, I don't think we'll be getting him on.
Nope. So
Nope.
congratulations
That's-
to all the Hall of Fame
That
players.
one's a
And
dead one.
that one's a dead one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
Yeah.
And you know what? And you know what? Leave it to a punter to attack.
That is
to attack.
ironic.
Can you believe that? Can you imagine that? Leave
That
it to
is
a.
ironic.
And
Hey, we could have got McAfee on. They go full board. He's out laying people out.
And if I could say one more thing with the discussion with him, and then I promise I'll get off Jason. And again, congratulations to Jason. And you know what? Jason really did great with his career. And I'm the first one to celebrate Jason to come out of Wayne High School and to punt in the NFL. God bless you, brother. But I had a conversation with Jason Baker. He's like, Joe, you don't understand. We have to get our participation rates up. I say, you don't compromise your game and take away tackle football.
No.
Yeah, but you don't understand. No, Jason, you're taking away tackle. We got to get our participation rates up. So that's just the, we'll get off that now. We'll move on past that. But
Well,
I just hope
staying
that
on football.
I hope that goes away. So
Big Joe's contract was signed.
woo! How
Yeah,
about
our
that,
boy.
baby?
Our boy.
Let's go. Tell him, Sonar. Woo!
Yep, Sonar's going to be bringing it up. He signed. This is his projected, which looks like it's everywhere I looked. Little over 8.3 million over 4 years, $3 million signing bonus.
Wow, that's some cheese. That's some scratch. Hard work pays
he
off. Look at that right there. I see you, Joe. That's what I'm talking about, man. Wow. You know what, though? Everybody out there watching, all the kids out there, man. Hard work, man.
Yeah.
You know what? We got so many great kids from the
By the way, he
260.
was one of the great interviews. The enthusiasm that
Yeah,
kid has.
yeah.
It's energetic.
Yeah.
It totally is. And it's just exciting to see our kids excel, man. And I'm pumped up about the football season coming up,
Oh,
too,
yeah.
man. Because you know what? It's fun when you could turn the games on Sunday and see some guys play.
And you're going to get them. And you're going to get them on Hard Knocks.
I know you're going to
You're
get
be
them
on Hard Knocks.
I'm
'cause
waiting.
the Jets are on.
Jets are on hard.
Jets
They
are
are.
on Hard
Oh,
Knocks.
this
I
is-
think
That's
there's gonna
beautiful.
Dave. I think there's gonna be a segment on Joe's mullet on Hard Knocks, and then I want to see about.
It is a fine mullet.
I want to see about 2 minutes on that mullet.
Pull
Then
that
I
back
want.
up,
Then I
Sonar.
want Joe. Then I want Joe to put that big paw that he has
my
up
God.
there on Hard Knocks, so people
Yeah.
can see.
One of my buds, I guess you can say that, at Captain Cork, Maysville. He goes, he loved that show, and about a week later, Joe comes in to get a whole bunch of alcohol for
Yeah.
the party. He goes, yeah, we didn't estimate right at all, and I guess they took a ton out of there, shit ton of alcohol
for his party, huh?
But while
behave
he's
yourselves.
there, they had to put him in the back room because he gets like an ESPN interview going. So they give him the privacy, and they all got their picture taken with him. And he goes, "You ain't lying about those hands, man.
Huge.
Oh, they're huge, aren't they?
Wrapped around."
Huge hands. And I tell you, to finish up this segment, though, we come out here in March.
Yeah.
And we had multiple meetings. Brummy, you were kind of orchestrated all of us to come out here and do a podcast. Sonar comes down from Chicago with all of his skill set. And we really wanted to jumpstart Spiece and, bring some momentum, bring some excitement, Sonar. And we also wanted to celebrate the 260, but we felt like, hey, man, if we could celebrate the 260 and jumpstart Spiece, Dave, and try to get Spiece going. Johnny Z was working behind the scenes. It's worked, but I got to tell you, man, brother, like, if you would have told me in March, Joe, the key to jump-starting Spiece
Pickleball.
is pickleball, I believe I would have walked right back out of here, got in my truck, and I would have gave you what I call the taillight guarantee. I guarantee I'll be around as long as you see my taillights.
And I mean, it is mind-boggling. It really is. From where we started this, and now it's gone.
It's gone, and now we're pickleball. And I tell you what, man, I tell you, after
I ran out of space on that tweet I put out. But I was going to say, I about guarantee you we're all going to be playing pickleball.
we're all going to be playing pickleball. Didn't you like what I put in the end of mine? I know Charlene liked it. I said, some of y'all might meet a nice lady playing pickleball. You're mad right now. You're losing your basketball. I hear you. But you know what? You come out here and get a racket. You might be surprised. You might meet a nice lady playing a little pickleball. I thought that was.
Hey,
So
Matt,
Go
I
ahead.
see you're wearing a beautiful hat there. Tell us about your Savannah Bananas.
Oh, a couple of weeks ago went down. Got the. I got the lucky call from
Mr.
Randy Lewandowski, the GM of the Indianapolis
Which Matt
Indians.
says he wants to come on
Yeah,
the show.
that'd be
he's
a
going to
great
come
get.
on in the fall, and a great friend of mine and a great teammate that I played summer ball with, and
Sure.
he says, I don't know if I can pull this or not. And I said, okay, man, I understand. I said, but I don't
You
ask for
understand, Joe? It takes you're a year behind to get tickets.
Yeah, it's crazy.
For the Indians, really?
No,
for
for Savannah Bananas.
Oh,
'Cause
for
they
Savannah
played
Bananas.
it. They
Oh,
played
gotcha.
down to Victory Field.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
So I get a text on Tuesday right before the game on Friday, and he said, "Look for that email. Don't you better check your junk too. It's going to say Savannah Bananas.
Oh,
Get on
you got
for
it,
the
huh?
tickets. I got it in
Wow.
the game.
I like the hat. The
Got
hat's
in
sharp.
the game. Got in the game. It was a great experience.
Wow.
Sold it
For
out
people,
both nights.
Yeah. So what
So
happened
explain
was,
it.
so-
Explain.
yeah,
For
so-
some of us that don't know, explain the background of Savannah Bananas.
Savannah Bananas was created. It was actually a college summer team.
It was a real thing
Yes.
at first.
It was real.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the owner, and his last name's Cole, decided to put these rules in. And
What is it, 8 rules?
There's 9, I believe 8 or 9 rules, but the rules include no bunting. You can't get out of the box.
Fans
Yeah,
get to
if
catch
the fan, if a foul ball is hitting the stands and the fan catches it,
You're out.
You're out.
That's awesome.
and they had 4 of them over 2 games.
Did they
in
really?
Indianapolis? Yeah.
So you talk about going
No,
and watching a baseball
no,
game,
so-
but you are like definitely in the
You go to see the
experience.
Globetrotters.
So,
That's what
but
you're
the
doing.
good thing is they're playing a game. So actually, when I was talking to Randy, he told me that the team they play, the Party Animals, has actually got the better talented team than the Bananas, and have won. They've split, so they're 50-50. You know, both 500.
Yeah.
But another. Yeah, there you go. See, look at that.
Thank you,
Attaboy,
Sonar.
Sonar. Hey, we can always
can't-
throw it in, you know.
You can't get by Sonar with that.
But at the so there's no walk. So if it's ball 4, the runner can take off. All the other 7 guys in the field have to touch the ball.
Touch it.
Before they can make a tag on the runner. So the runner
Oh,
usually
so
ends
you
up
gotta
on
just, so
second
you gotta
base.
like whip it around the horn real quick if
but
you
they
can.
all
but you
converged
can't-
on second base.
Oh, everybody runs to second
Yeah,
base.
yeah.
Gotcha.
So so
That sounds
it's
fun to
a
watch.
great- it's a fun
Harlem
fun to watch.
Globetrotters.
It's a 2 hour. It's a 2-hour time limit.
Yeah.
Max.
And each game or each inning, so say the visiting team top half of the first doesn't score,
Yeah.
and the guy comes up for the home team and hits a home run, the inning's over because
there.
they won the inning 1-0.
1-0.
So they get 1 point.
Gotcha.
And
Interesting.
yeah,
You need to
so
watch the documentary.
it's pretty
Yeah,
crazy.
I didn't know anything about
It's
it.
It's pretty crazy, and so they originally were just playing games in Savannah. And we're getting inviting
yeah.
them to all. Now it's gotten to the point where they're
It's a traveling
going to.
show.
Yeah.
They have, I think, 80 dates.
Yeah.
And next year they've been guaranteed a
MLB.
major league team, and I won't mention the team. But there will be a 2-game series in their ballpark,
Yeah.
and that'll expand to more, I'm sure.
Sure.
Because the waiting list again, it's so crazy just to get on
Charlene
this
watched the
waiting list.
documentary and she goes, I want to go. I was like, there ain't no chance.
Yeah,
to
good
go.
luck. But
So the tickets are a
one
year
weekend,
behind, huh?
Yeah, so one weekend, 2 games. So they rained out, or actually the power on Thursday night they were supposed to play. Storm went through Indianapolis, knocked the power out of the stadium, so they had to postpone it until Saturday, and they played it in Saturday afternoon. I went to the Friday night game. 15,000 both days,
Wow.
sold out, biggest crowds in the history of banana baseball,
Wow.
and
Pickleball,
About
banana
it,
baseball.
we got it all, brother.
You
Hey,
just blowing my mind, man.
times are a-changing.
Times, you know what? Times are changing for Big Boy right here, aren't they?
And
But-
Joe Foling also.
But
Okay, now explain.
Let me get this.
Then
So
he can enlighten me on foaling.
So we got a net coming out of there for the weekend, probably about $1 million.
Wow, for a weekend of
Weekend of baseball, down
Unbelievable.
there because
that's
the
fantastic.
souvenir stands.
But you know what though? I like that because you know
Jam-packed.
what? That's being so creative out of the
Yeah.
box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And same thing with pickleball too. It kind of circles back to where like Sonar always mentions it. Can you make a better widget? You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
think about it, guys.
You know,
I mean,
me and Charlene was standing outside, and I was looking over at old Delmar, and I was like, thinking about tonight's show, and I'm like, that place used to be the #1 spot for everybody to go.
Yeah, DVDs.
I know.
And
Or not
it's
even DVDs. It was VHS, probably.
VHS.
Crazy.
And it's gone.
Yeah,
We don't like change, but it's guaranteed to happen.
yeah. It is now. Before we wrap up this segment and get to the great Justin Prince, tell us about foaling.
I had a office.
Why not pickleball?
We're throwing
banana
it all out
baseball.
there.
I mean,
Throw it all
just
out
as long as you leave my youth tackle alone. But go ahead.
Officer John Horn was in my office today, and he was talking about the pickleball, and I was just showing him all the numbers of Twitter and everything.
Yeah,
He goes, and he knows of TK,
yeah,
and he goes, Dave, you ever heard of foaling? I'm thinking about a horse.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
no. He goes, well, it's football and bowling put together. This guy down in Indianapolis trademarked this,
Football and bowling.
and he's selling franchises.
Oh my gosh!
You put up
Everybody's
bowling
selling
pins.
franchises.
It's like the
now.
movie Basketball.
Put up bowling pins, and you throw the football,
Wow.
and that's bowling.
Okay.
So get on that one, Joe.
Okay, so we've had bowling, we've had banana baseball.
We need to go back to the
and-
future.
Yeah, I guess so. And we just had a nice discussion about pickleball. So, but I tell you what,
What a night for Justin to come on.
I tell you what. Speaking of Justin, from the rich farm fields of Elkhorn, Wisconsin, to the trenches along the offensive line at Wisconsin Stevens Point, and finally behind the camera in the 260, giving us all our nightly sports. That's
Yeah,
right.
There we
The
go.
one and only Justin Prince
Will
up
be up.
next on the 260.
It's the 260 podcast, live from Spiece Fieldhouse every Thursday at 7 p.m., highlighting all Indiana sports, featuring guests from the 260 area code and beyond. Live on YouTube every Thursday at 7 p.m. Just search the 260, also available anywhere you find your podcasts. And remember, when searching, there are no zeros in the 260. It's the 260 podcast, live from Spiece Fieldhouse every Thursday at 7 p.m.
It feels like we're taking the crown. It feels like we were born to be champions. We were born to be champions. We were born to have a name in the lights, 'cause we're taking a ride to the top, to the top. Born to be champions. We were born to be champions.
Yes, this is the 260. I'm Joe Walburn. I'm joined by the man they call the mayor of the 260, Dave Rickert. We got Matt Brumball with us. We're just rolling through the 260, laying down your
19.
pickleball content, baby. 19, and right now we're joined by an individual. When I turn the TV on at night and I want to get sports, I look forward to seeing this guy.
Yeah.
And we're joined by the great Justin Prince. Thanks for joining us, brother.
Thanks, fellas. Appreciate you having me on.
Glad you're here.
Appreciate you guys having me.
All right.
Thank you, Matt, for making this happen.
Absolutely.
Hey, this is the Bob Parker Award winner from the Northeast Indiana Baseball Association this year. That's a great award, man.
It's a great award.
Hey,
great
hey,
award.
I wanted to interview him, but he wouldn't let me do it. Come on now.
Okay, Justin. Elkhorn, Wisconsin,
Elkhorn, Wisconsin, indeed.
a place near and dear to you.
Yep.
Tell us about
Just got
growing
back
up
from.
there. Tell us about your mom and dad, and tell us about your childhood up in Elkhorn, Wisconsin.
Man, I mean, you talk about small town Wisconsin living. You talk about Elkhorn, Wisconsin. That's really what it is. It's
What's your
town-
population
about,
there?
About 10 grand. That's
Oh,
about
that's
it.
small.
And you're about, and Elkhorn's not too far from Wausau's, a little bit north. And aren't you guys about 3 hours north of Madison?
So Elkhorn, Wisconsin's at the southern part of the state.
Okay, so
where
I'm thinking
Stevens Point is
Yeah,
where
that's
I
what I'm
went.
thinking.
Yep,
Thank
that's
you.
up
Thank
north
you.
in the central
you.
part of the state. Yeah.
Okay.
So Elkhorn, Wisconsin. First off, shout out mom and dad. Both
boy.
are saints. They raised me and my younger brother. You think I'm big? My little brother makes me look small. So my little brother's just about 6'8".
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
6'8", was just as big as I was in college.
Wow.
So, and then I'm 6'6", so mom and dad, raised two pretty big kids, but they're both great.
Dairy Farms of Wisconsin.
Elk
You're not
Horn,
wrong.
baby.
You're not wrong. We, I think at one point my brother and I were going through 2, almost 3 gallons of milk a
Wow.
week.
Wow.
Just between
Putting
the
it
two
down,
of us.
Dave.
Yeah.
It's great.
But no, mom and dad are great.
Did you have your own cow?
No, they actually, those old school service milk service
the milk
containers.
bottle.
yeah, they used to bring it
They-
by.
Milk
no,
bottle.
they used to consider someone mentioned to them one time about getting one of those just the big coolers just for milk that have the giant bags
Yeah.
of them just sitting in
Yeah.
there, and
That's great.
just so that we had that. But no, mom is a program manager for my home county. She runs their Meals on Wheels services
Oh,
and
God
then
bless
senior
her.
dining centers. And then my
Nice.
dad was a teacher for a long time.
Wow.
30 years at my high school, I believe.
Wow.
So did have my dad as a teacher. He was a health and
was
physical
you had
education.
your dad as
How
a
was
teacher.
that?
What was that like, man?
He gave me my only detention in high school. so
Let's go.
but it was great.
What
other
would that
than
detention be like?
I just had to go down to his room and sit there for a little while. That's all I did. But
Yeah, back to school nights on the couch in the front room,
but no, it was great. Minus the I really had to watch myself because I couldn't get in trouble. I didn't get the call home. I just got I'm going down to your dad's room. So that's all.
I got that. Yeah, I got that in elementary. My mom was a secretary, and I got in a fight on the playground. And before I got to the principal's office, my mom had already taken me to the side room, whooped my ass, and called it a day. The principal said, "You go back to your class now."
Yeah.
Now, with your mom and
She already did
dad,
the damage.
Yeah.
talk to us a little bit about your relationship with them. Was one of them a real stickler, a disciplinarian, or what was kind of the dynamic with the mom and dad? And obviously you're an extremely disciplined individual. You're able to prepare for broadcasts every night, and what people don't realize about what you do is you have to have the ability to write.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about. Did you pick up some of those characteristics from your mom or dad, or who was kind of influential as you were growing up in Elkhorn?
I mean, they both were really influential. In terms of me getting into this job, though, I was a kid that for the longest time growing up, we didn't have cable or nothing,
Yeah.
and then we got DirecTV or Dish or satellite, whenever we moved out to our house. I want to say 99, somewhere around that area is when we got Dish, and all of a sudden I discovered what SportsCenter and ESPN was, and
You're like,
I want to be that.
and that's exactly what it was, and I just kind of fell in love with it. And I'm
Wow.
the only one in my family not in some health related field, which is because
Fascinating.
my brother's a pharmacist, and so I actually wanted to be a teacher for the longest time. So in terms of a career, they didn't really have anything. They just never said, "Don't go do this." So this was what I wanted to do. But no, mom and dad were both, pretty. I mean, I don't want to say strict because they let me do a lot of things that I really wanted to do in my life.
Sure.
But they were both very, I guess if you want to call it strict, you can call it that because they didn't take shit from me.
Yeah, that's right.
But they made sure that if I did something wrong, that I knew about it, and
what it
so
should
they
be.
so I was very grateful for growing up
Did
the
a
way
good
I
job
did,
with
and in terms of discipline stuff too, it's just a byproduct of playing sports for as long as I did.
Because you were a 3-sport athlete.
played
Well,
3
in
sports.
high school.
Yeah,
I can't imagine you playing soccer, man.
I actually played soccer growing up.
You played soccer growing up?
Yeah.
I played soccer growing up.
I wouldn't want
was-
him to kick my shins, boy. You better have double shin guards.
That guy
coming right
down the field.
They just they stuck me in goal because I was I was as big as the goal. So I mean I did everything growing up. I swam, I golfed, I bowled,
Wow.
I played soccer. Anytime I was out of the house, I think my parents were happy. But no, football, basketball, baseball through high school, and then football in college, and and especially when we got to college. I mean, I was always one of those ones that I was very deadline oriented as it was,
Sure.
and just kind of just the way it was. But when I got to college, especially, it was if you're not 15 minutes early, you're
Yes,
late,
right
and
on.
to meetings and practice and everything, and so you just kind of learn that, and that's just kind of how it was for me.
So how did you get to Stevens Point?
Stevens Point, it was kind of crazy. We had coaches that would come in for recruiting, and I didn't know that they were actually going to be in school that day. And then I got a message from our AD and our football coach at the time, and he said, "Hey, Stevens Point is here. If you'd like to, they want to meet with you." And I said, "Okay." So I wandered down to what was our gym office at the time, and they were in there, and introduced myself to the offensive line coach who was in town.
Now, how big are
recruiting.
you at your senior year?
About as tall as I was, maybe just a little bit shorter, but I was. My head football coach at my freshman year of college actually referred to me as something I've never been called, which was skinny. I was 6'6" and 240 my senior year in high school.
Put together.
So
the frame.
just
That's what
I
they were
mean,
looking at, the frame.
Yeah, and so and he said, "Hey, come on up for a visit." Went up for a visit, and I had grown up going up to Stevens Point for random things here and there, and knew what the campus, but toured the area and toured the school and got to know some of the football guys and just kind of fell in love with it and everything.
It's a good
and
fit.
Yeah, and just
a
the
great
next
school.
and it was far enough from home. And next thing I knew, it was, hey, I'm going to Stevens Point, and I didn't have to change school colors either, which kind of helped. So
Yeah, purple
and yellow.
Purple and yellow. Now, they had a great coach up there. I think it was John Meek. Was
John
he?
Mish. Yep.
John Mish.
Josh,
That's how you
yep.
pronounce it?
John
Okay.
Mish. Yep.
Now, was
He
that
was-
before you? Or?
He was there my first 3 years of college.
That's
And
what I
then-
thought, because he retired in 2012.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Dave, he was a legendary coach, wasn't he?
coached for quarter century
Mish.
up there,
Yeah,
so
legendary.
25 years up there, and then Tom Jernell took over
Tom
my
Jernell.
senior year.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
fun fact, we actually played St. Francis my senior year, came down here, lost 39-31 to them. We were up 24-13 and a half. I'm not sour about anything at all, but we did come down here and play St. Francis my senior year, so that was pretty cool. Got to play against Coach Donnelly and play over there at Bishop Darcy Stadium, and looked a little different then than it did now, but it was still a lot of fun. Hotter than sin that game. I'll never forget it. So, but it was a lot of fun.
Now, when football season comes around
Yes.
every fall and the summers, I don't know about you, and I want you to speak to this. And I'm an old football guy. I tell you, I drive by that field and I hear that and I smell those stinky uniforms. You know what I mean? There's
Oh, yeah.
nothing like that smell in the locker room after you've practiced in the rain. Now, it's a little different now. A lot of schools have turf, but just the smell of the cut of grass, it always just comes back to me. And I haven't played in, my gosh, 30 years. Do you
Yeah.
do you still kind of have those feelings? Because I mean, you played for a really good program in
Yeah.
Wisconsin Stevens Point, and once you kind of play ball like that, it's kind of almost ingrained in you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's. I mean, I get that way with a lot of sports, you know, and
Do ya?
just the byproduct of being able to being just a sports guy my whole entire life and growing up around the sports I did. I mean, you know, Dad was a football player in college. He was a kicker. Mom swam. Dad threw for the Wisconsin lacrosse track team as well. So like, I grew up just literally around every sport that I could possibly play. So like, you know, I go to a football game and I'm sitting there running up and down the sidelines, or I walk in and nothing beats seeing a packed house and you're just hearing all the fans scream and everything, and it just kind of takes you back. And every year week one, I always get a little bit of goosebumps, a little bit of chills,
Yeah,
because
we all do.
it's so much fun just showing up and just seeing the atmosphere and all the hope around all these teams.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and you know and just knowing what could be in 9 weeks, it just always makes it so much fun.
And what was it like, the Wisconsin high school football, the Friday night lights playing,
Is it like
being up
here?
there from Elkhorn? Is it somewhat similar to here? Is it bigger or smaller? What was it like?
It was very similar. You know, we would have like we would have little pep rallies, you know, almost every week at school, and you know, football players wore their jerseys for school on Friday, and you know, if you were lucky enough, someone always, you know, you'd always find a girl to give your other jersey to.
Your practice jersey.
Your you know, if
my
you were
girl.
home, it was your
That's my
away
girl right
jersey.
there.
So,
There you go.
but no, I
Elkhorn,
mean,
baby.
yeah, but it was. I mean, there was hardly a Friday that I remember in high school that the stands just weren't packed.
Yeah, was the
You
community
know,
just really engaged with it, Justin?
They really were, and all the surrounding communities were like that when I grew up, and it was so fun. And we had some very, very good teams. I didn't get called up till I was a junior, but we were 8-2 when I was a junior. We were 6-4 when I was a senior.
Good teams, then.
I think we were like 7-3 or 8-2 again when I was a sophomore or a freshman.
Wow.
And so we had some pretty dang good teams games when I was in school, and and it was Friday nights. The football field was the place to be. That's small town living. That's it's no different than you go to one of those Adams Central football games, and you just see the way they pack the landing strip, and or really anywhere, honestly. But small towns like that is the go-to place on Fridays.
What's your favorite place to do?
Up here?
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's tough. I mean, nothing beats a rockin' Spooler Stadium just for the simple fact that it's Spooler Stadium.
And speaking of
That's
that,
my
I tell you
favorite
what,
one.
that's the best. And I'm so disappointed that they're not going to play the Northside Snyder regular season game this year, Dave.
Really?
That's off the schedule. And I don't know, you probably know this, Justin, but with when I was doing the games for Summit City Sports, that was the number one most viewed game in the regular season in the whole state was the Snyder Northside game, the regular season game. Now, obviously, the playoff game was big, too, but you're right. I'm disappointed that's off the schedule, but that's a rocking place.
It is.
And it brings back a lot of scouts, first of all, that game did, and brought back a lot of NFL guys, too, didn't it, Justin?
Yeah, it always did. And, you see some of the Snyder guys and the guys that were at that Northside Snyder game in the playoffs last year. Like, Jalen Smith was back for it. Jesse Bates was here for it.
It's awesome when they come back.
Seeing all those guys back, it's always really
Matt,
cool.
you notice he referenced Snyder, not Northrop.
Oh yeah,
So
we know that.
We Matt are both we understand.
They gotta
we could only claim Staff Ready Field.
But they gotta figure out something where they can
Snyder
somehow
owns that
you know
field.
how they switch that logo or something, or hit a button and the Bruin.
They should have put a big brown and orange N on that thing, but had to worry about it.
Isn't that right, Justin? Maybe you can switch it. But now, did you get a chance to play with your brother? What was the difference in years between you and your brother?
So
did you play with
actually,
him?
just missed playing with my brother.
Gotcha.
He was when I was a senior in high school, he would have been an 8th grader. So when I got into college, he was in high school. So I always joked around and said, I was very lucky. I never got hurt, never had a serious injury, knock on wood. But
that's really impressive playing in the trenches, Dave.
Never really did anything other than sprain an ankle, and I always joked around and said, man, I for one fact, I only ever wish I would have gotten hurt was so I could have maybe gotten a chance to play with my brother. Because my brother went to my college too, so
did he? Wow.
So they had 8 straight years of Prince's at Stevens Point.
Let's go, man.
It was kind of funny. I remember talking to one of my old teammates who was a linebacker, and he goes, it's so crazy. If you close your eyes, and this was after this was my brother's freshman year. He goes, you close your eyes and you just listen to your brother talk, and you think, holy shit, is Justin back? but no. So I never got to play with my brother, but we talked a lot of ball.
Yeah. Did you kind of become a little bit of obviously you're brothers and you're tight, but did you kind of, as far as football, did you kind of mentor a little bit? Because you kind of had to lead the way, and you can say, hey, now, because that's hard when you go off to college and play college football, Brummy. Man, and Stevens Point's a good school.
Yeah.
That's tough, though.
Yeah.
But to have an older brother who said, hey, I've already gone through this, watch out for this or expect that. Did you kind of mentor him along the way, Justin, a little bit?
Yeah, for things here and there.
Sure.
When he got up to school, I mean, obviously you've got coaches that are teaching you a lot of the different things and want you to do things a certain way. And but I know going through high school and stuff, he and I would talk, most weeks, and especially after games on Fridays or Saturdays, or it was usually most weekends. It was either a Sunday or something like that. We'd sit there and talk on the phone for 10, 15 minutes. I'd ask him, how the game went, and we'd sit there and chit chat and whatever. And we just talk ball. That's what we did.
Ball.
And it was true for really any sport. I mean, and when he got out of football season, we'd talk basketball. When he got out of basketball season, we'd sit there and bullshit about baseball and this and that. And then the cycle just flipped over to football when he got over into football again. But it was a lot of fun. I know he looked up to me, and I certainly looked up to him for a lot of stuff too. Because that's just the relationship we had.
Did you guys play Benedictine out of Naperville?
We never played Benedictine when I was in college. We have 8 schools in the WIAC, so we played the Whitewaters, the Oshkoshes.
So you did play Whitewater.
Oh yeah, we played Whitewater. They were very good. We played them 5 times actually in my 4 years, because the WIAC for my senior year decided to make one of the non-conference games. You had to play one of the other conference teams twice.
Oh, really?
We drew the lucky straw of playing Whitewater twice my senior year.
Yeah.
But
and they won a national championship.
Oh,
they won multiple national championships when I was in school.
Oh man, they
we
were
had
tough.
a kid from baseball player from Garrett went there.
Okay.
And won a national championship.
Yeah, they've been very good at a
Baseball
lot of
player,
sports.
catcher.
See,
So-
in Wisconsin, Stevens Point, D3 school, great football. They put some guys in the NFL. I can think of as Clint Krewald.
Clint Krewald.
Thank you.
He
and
won
Barry Rose.
Yep, Barry Rose. Clint Krewald won a Super
Krewald.
Bowl, I believe, at least one, maybe two with the Steelers. So
That's correct. Yeah. Thank you.
He actually might have been on one of those teams with Trey Essex. Now that I think about it,
Really?
Yeah.
But he won a Super Bowl
Yes.
with the Steelers, and
And Barry Rose played for Buffalo.
I
Correct me
believe
if I'm
so.
wrong. Is that
Yeah, I
correct?
believe
Okay.
so. So
they put some guys in, Dave. I mean,
Yeah.
that's big time football up there.
Well, that area, that conference he's talking about, that schools he's naming, I mean, that's very elite football.
It's very good, and I think part of the reason for it is, I mean, when you look at the football, the college scene up in Wisconsin, Madison's the only Division I school in the state that has football, and then there's no Division IIs or NAIs up there that have any kind of football. And
Really,
so,
no Division II up there, huh?
Parkside
Wow,
is
interesting.
Parkside is down in the. I'm not sure what city it's in, but Parkside is a D2 program, but I believe they only have basketball.
Gotcha,
So
gotcha.
in terms of like sports like that, so that
Once
I think,
again, there's no D1 baseball.
and there's there is. Milwaukee and Green Bay both have
Okay, they're
Division
they
I
do.
baseball.
Gotcha.
I
Interesting.
remember Ryan was pitching down in spring down in Florida, my oldest son. I'm watching it. I mean, he's just getting shelled, and I'm just furious. Finally, get a hold of him on the phone. I'm like, "What the hell's going on?" He goes, "Dad, I was throwing balls, and he was still crushing it
Still crushing it. Wow.
because of Whitewater."
Yeah, Whitewater's been
program.
very good. They won a national title, I believe, and since I can remember. Points made it to the national tournament, to the College World Series, the D3 College World Series, a handful of times since I've been in school. They went my senior year actually, so it's they actually not 2023. They went back in 2022, and then Points won at least 2 national basketball championships since I know they won one my freshman year of college. I think they won one my brother's freshman year of college. So they've had a lot of good athletics up there, and certainly it's a lot of fun because the basketball in that WIAC and really around the state, and football around the state in that WIAC and even in a lot of those other private schools up there is really, really good. Actually, it's kind of cool. Jackson Barber from Leo High School went up to Lawrence, and Lawrence is actually coached by one of my really good buddies, one of my former teammates, Tony Aker. And
Did you help with that deal?
No, actually I didn't. I saw Jackson committed there, and I was just ecstatic.
That's awesome.
When
Jackson's
I saw,
a great kid.
Yeah, he is. And when I went to Jackson's signing day, I was like, "You're gonna love playing for him." And I saw Jackson's dad and talked to Jackson a little bit after Jackson got back from his first semester, and he goes, "You were right." He goes, "I love it up there." He goes, and TA is what I call the guy, but he goes, "I love playing for Tony," and it's been a lot of fun. So I actually have 2 former teammates on that coaching staff up there, and one of them's the head coach. So
that's fun when you have those connections, isn't it, man? When you can, then you have a kid from down here, and Jackson was fantastic.
Yeah.
He was a great high school quarterback, just never got a chance to throw
No.
it. But then he turned into Steve Young that game against East Noble, remember? But he's a great kid. But now,
Final 2 games of his career, he finally gets to throw the ball.
I know he was fantastic at it. But now with high school and college football to finish up, were there a couple guys, man, that you competed against that just really stuck out, that you were just like, or did you see a couple guys that you were really blown away with, Justin? Because you started, correct me if I'm wrong, you started 20 games in college, man.
Yeah.
So you started a lot of college football. Was there a couple of guys that you just really stuck with you over the years that just blew you away with their skill set?
So my early couple of years up at Stevens Point, we played against some of those Whitewater teams that were winning national titles, and I can't think of his name right now, but he went and played football for the Packers. He's played with the Bills. He was a wide receiver for him, and just like seeing everything he would do on Sundays, and it wasn't a huge sample size. He bounced around a little bit, and I was like, man, he was torching our asses on Saturday doing the exact same thing. And so it was no surprise that he got some chances. I played with a few really, really good players that I was extremely fortunate enough to get my ass kicked by, especially on the defensive line. Shout out Matt Lunder, Charlie Dirks, guys like that. I mean, we had some guys that just had some chances, went and played in the CFL and stuff.
Yeah,
my
exactly,
brother actually got a chance, and I saw him play a little bit, but Ryan Ramczyk with the New Orleans Saints,
Yes.
left tackle for
Left
the Saints, actually started his football career at Stevens Point. Played a year with my brother, and to see that dude on a D3 football field, you just knew he was different.
Special, yeah.
And I mean, and then you go and you sit out a year when you move up to Madison, and then he goes and just demolishes everybody, and he's a first round draft pick. And I mean, you were like, yeah. So I mean, I've seen a lot of different guys play a lot of different things, and I mean, I think back to even guys like the Pierre Garçons who was playing at Mount Union, seeing those games against Whitewater.
Great name.
So I mean, I've had the chance to see a lot of really good guys play a lot of really good football, and so I think there's even a guy who's Quinn Miners, I think is his name. He's playing for the Broncos. He went to Whitewater right now, so really, really cool.
Great names.
Justin,
Great
did
names.
the basketball program or baseball program reach out to you?
I actually had thought about trying to walk on at Wisconsin Stevens Point's baseball program as well. Just didn't work out. But first, also, I finally grew into a football body my freshman year of college. I went in at like 255, I think it was, and I left my I joke around and I'd say I didn't put on the freshman 15, I put on the freshman 40. Because I left my first semester and I weighed like 280.
Wow.
And I mean, it was finally I was maturing. I was into a weight.
Strong.
I was into a weight room and
Yes.
eating a lot, and so I played. I was considering playing some baseball, and then I thought I had a decent chance to start playing as a sophomore, and I did. And so I decided to just hang up the baseball and put everything into football, and glad I did. Had fun.
20 games is a lot.
20 games.
It's impressive. That's big time football. People don't realize, when I played Division I, there's not that much difference, Dave, between a Division I player versus 1AA, 2 or 3. I mean, you just heard it. He talked about a kid that that just bounced up to Wisconsin. There's really not that much of a difference. And to play in the trenches, hats off to you, brother. And to not to have any injuries is really remarkable. But you got to be a tough SOB to play in the trenches college football.
What was it? I think Big Joe only did how many? 22 maybe?
Yeah, because
it's not easy to start.
It is hand-to-hand combat, and I mean, people just don't know until you get out there, and the quickness and the guys with their moves. And I don't know if they had outlawed the head slap at that point, but the head slaps, man, the head slaps are brutal, and I literally, my eyes,
you
a lot
need
of
to
times.
go back and watch our Big Joe Tippmann.
Oh, yeah, you got to watch that.
And listen to Joe's story about Fabini.
Okay.
Yeah,
His first game in the NFL.
Oh, I'm sure it just got.
I'll just tell it real quick. We were down at his uncle's bar, Frank Lombardo, and we were like, oh my gosh, Jason finally made it into the NFL. So his uncle poured us all a shot of wild turkey. So we're sitting there. It's the 4 o'clock late game on CBS. It's the 49ers against the Jets. Vinny Testaverde comes up and is barking out the signals, and Jason lines up at right tackle. And we're just like hooping and hollering, screaming. So we all took our shot of wild turkey, lifted it up, and Testaverde runs the first play. It's like a play action pass to I can't remember who he was throwing it to, but I think it was like Charles Haley or Bryant Young came off the defensive line, and it was the most vicious head slap I ever saw. He head slapped Fabini to his knees.
And there's all these
and
boys
Fabini,
ready to drink.
and we're all like, Fabini's 6'6", 330, and we're like, yeah, JC first NFL. Oh, and the bar goes quiet, and we're just like, we're holding this wild turkey, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God.
What do we do now?
What do we do now? Please get up. Please get up. And he kind of was down for a second, then he bounced up, and we're like, welcome to the NFL. There's your shot, man. But hats off to you, man. And you know what?
That.
I think that just shows, Dave, the toughness and the discipline to play at that level and to play with that physicality and to play in that many games.
His discipline shows in his profession right now.
Appreciate that.
Well, and
I've
speaking
seen
of
him
that,
for years.
And
Always
speaking of
wearing
that,
shorts, by the way. And
Always wearing shorts.
You know what?
35 degrees out.
That's what. Excuse me. That's what I'm looking forward to, man. Now we're going to take a quick little break, but that's what I'm looking forward to. Up next, broadcasting. I want to know when you were flipping on ESPN or when you finally got that DirecTV or cable, who was the guy that really stood out to you? But up next, man, I mean, we're just so excited to have Justin Prince from Fox with us. But Dave, up next, time to get into broadcasting.
Yes, sir.
So coming up, Justin Prince going to tell us about the journey to broadcasting on the 260.
It's the 260 podcast, live from Spiece Fieldhouse every Thursday at 7 p.m., highlighting all Indiana sports, featuring guests from the 260 area code and beyond. Live on YouTube every Thursday at 7 p.m. Just search the 260, also available anywhere you find your podcasts. And remember, when searching, there are no zeros in the 260. It's the 260 podcast, live from Spiece Fieldhouse every Thursday at 7 p.m.
It feels like we're taking the crown. It feels like we were born to be champions. We were born to be champions. We were born to have a name in the lights, 'cause we're taking a ride to the top, to the top. Born to be champions. We were born to be champions.
Yes, this is the 260. We should have let Justin bring us back, Dave,
Yeah.
right? I'm Joe Walburn, Dave Rickert, Matt Brumball's riding shotgun, and the great Justin Prince from Fox joining us. And before we get to broadcasting, you just told a great story.
Yeah.
I think you might hold the record, because usually when a pick six is thrown, I was an old quarterback. I mean, the sudden changes, Dave, that's when you can really get your head handed to you. But I was kind of blown away. 6.5 tackles from an offensive lineman.
You know what? Seven.
That's pretty good, man. Now tell us that favorite one real quick before we get into the broadcasting.
So it was my sophomore year. It was my second career start. We were playing Wisconsin Platteville. It was rainy. It was crappy outside. Quarterback threw a pick along the sidelines, and guy looked like he was going to be corralled by one of the wide receivers or the running back or somebody, and he broke free up the sideline, and I think he thought he had a wide open lane to the end zone. It was a good another 40, 50 yards, but there was no one else over there. I turned it on and I ran over, and I just kind of laid out, and you could see it on film. The guy just flew out of bounds a good 3-4 yards to their bench. Like he kind of looked like he didn't know what the heck just happened. Like where did it come from? And
you call up to Stevens Point and you're like, hey man, we got to make an adjustment to your record book, man.
That's right.
I've got the most tackles by offensive linemen. Put it in there, man. That's fantastic.
See the joy in his face.
Yeah.
No, my best. 6.5.
I will say this: I was also on punt, so I think a couple of them came on punt, because we did the formation where they spread out the guys in front of the punter, and then they put 3 fat guys up in front, and said, "Here, we'll let 3 guys run at you from 6 yards away." But so I think I probably had maybe 1.5 that was on punt, but yeah, a good handful more of them came on interceptions, because I was damn determined to not let a pick 6 happen. I can tell you that much.
Hey Joe, to the broadcast and let him bring it in. Most of the guests, I tell them everything. We gotta be about this far away.
Yeah,
he's headphones.
Look at how smooth he is.
I started to go with him. I'm like, oh shit, it's Justin Prince.
It's Justin Prince. Yeah,
He kind of has us down pat.
Yeah.
broadcasting.
Yeah,
I admire your work.
appreciate that. Thank you very much.
You were very talented. Talk to us a little bit about that. You mentioned all of a sudden, man, up in Elkhorn, you guys had a little cable, and you fell in love. Was there one broadcaster or one guy on ESPN or a combination or somebody that really kind of piqued your interest and got you excited about broadcasting?
Yeah, let me tell you, it was from day number one. It was Stuart Scott.
Oh man,
it was Stuart Scott. Watching ESPN, just seeing the joy that he had.
Side of the pillow.
Yeah, the just seeing the joy that he had when he was on TV every single day and calling highlights or reading things and just seeing the way that and that's the way I kind of try to approach it. I try to have fun. TV and this job
comes off well.
It comes off well because you know what?
Well, thank you.
You know what? The thing I like about you, and that's Stuart Scott. That's a great call because Stuart Scott, he made it fun. It wasn't about him. It was about the guys playing. And you know what I always thought about Stuart Scott? He was so likable, and that's what I kind of think with the way you do it.
Once again,
you
it comes
when
off really well to the kids.
It comes off well, and you're very likable when I watch you.
Well, and I can tell you a story just from him covering high school baseball. He comes in our dugout. It's pretty fun down there, isn't it?
It's a good time.
I mean, we had some great conversations
just
with Justin involved. He's like, "Yep, Coach Brummy's got it going on tonight." So.
Well, and Justin, and the other thing is I think that helps, and I want you to take it from here. You played 3 sports. Yeah. You played major college football. So you come at it from. Now I also want to ask you later on about your ability to write. I'm interested in that. But you come from the sports with the background of playing it, and I think that helps with the kids because you can relate to like wins, losses. Like Brummy always says, the attitudes in the locker room.
Yeah.
I think that
Do you
helps
pick some
too.
things out when do you ever catch things like of a team in high school? Can you tell there's not going to be very good by the attitudes?
Sometimes you can certainly tell in certain games, especially if a certain player is not going to have a great day, or if a team is going to not have a great night because this player or these couple of people, you're like, oh, okay, and you can just see it in the body language.
One bad apple,
right?
Yeah, you can see it in the body language sometimes, but I agree. I think my background helps a lot. Just in terms of being able to, I think, relate to some of the players, and I understand things a lot more, I think, than anything else. Is I just know what's going on. I don't have to ask a lot of probing like, why are you doing these questions?
Yeah,
it's
because
I understand what's going on, so I can just kind of dive into what I want to dive into, and plus on top of that, like you said, it's not about me, and it never has been about me. I always just made the joke that I just I got into television because like I said, I fell in love with it watching ESPN and stuff. But I've always been a storyteller, etc. Whatever, my whole life. Anyone will tell you I'm a talker, but I just always joked around that I just sucked at writing. And that's why I got into the talking part of it. But
it worked.
But writing. There's still some writing.
That writing had to come along because Dave, when I tell you when I would do the high school games, I'd have 3-4 hours preparing.
Yeah.
So now think about having a broadcast every night.
Yeah.
I mean,
you
now
just came here from doing the 6 o'clock show.
I did.
Yeah.
And he's got to go back and do the 10 o'clock show.
When did it all begin with that? And did you have a moment when you were doing it, Justin, where you were like, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to do. Like, this is it. Like, I got this.
So I started my career up at a small PBS station, actually in Minnesota, in Brainerd and Bemidji, Minnesota. They just shout out to Lakeland News, Lakeland PBS. They just celebrated their 25th anniversary on air. So I was proud to be a part of it.
25 years for PBS.
25. Well, for their news side of stuff.
The
news side of stuff. So July 1998 is when they came on the air for the first time and doing news. And
that's fantastic.
So pretty cool to be a little part of that, but I was up there and and just kind of I don't remember which day it was, but it was a day that it was crappy weather or something else was going on, and I was trying to bounce from this to that to this because this was canceled and this one wasn't. Then I got to this and it was postponed, and I was like, man, this was frustrating. And then the next day, I kind of remember I was sitting there and I'm like, I don't know, like, if I'm doing a good job, whatever. And then the next day, it was I remember I went to a game and one of the parents stopped me and was like, "We appreciate you coming to everything. We see you everywhere." And it was like
that was kind of the validation.
And I will say this, part of the Northeast Indiana Baseball Association that I'm a part of. We recognize that right away. We always, we talk about people who make contributions to baseball
in different ways.
This guy is unbelievable. You're everywhere,
that.
and you care, and like you said, you care, and you enjoy what you're doing,
Yeah.
but you care about the programs and the players, and
And the kids see that, man.
and the kids
Oh, yeah.
see it. The
Oh,
kids
yeah.
see it, and the coaches definitely see it because it was a unanimous, overwhelming vote.
I appreciate
Justin
that.
Prince was going to win that award this year, no doubt about it.
What was the name of that award again?
It's the Bob Parker
Bob
Award.
Parker Award,
And,
yep.
and it's a
Impressive.
prestigious award. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like I said, it's contributions to, showing, the stability and the appreciation of Northeast Indiana baseball. So,
Well, Matt has an ex-player, Zach Pyatt.
Yep.
yes.
And he's I still follow him, and
Yep.
he's the same way down in
He's in Richmond.
Richmond.
Yep.
He's at everything. I mean,
Covering every
volleyball,
sport.
cross country, he's there.
And people see that,
And
and-
people are thanking him all the time on Twitter.
Well, people see that. The
There's a
parents
lot of,
appreciate that.
especially at a lot of those small markets, especially with the newspapers. I will give those guys their flowers because they a lot of those dudes and females, excuse me, a lot of those reporters they have to grind. They have
Yes.
to.
Yeah,
they
that's
are
what
at,
he-
they are at everything and everywhere, and with little to no thanks and sometimes little to no pay, but they
Yes.
are busting their asses and it doesn't go unnoticed, especially from someone who's in the industry himself and
Yeah.
and so
And
but
it's a journey, man.
yeah,
it's a journey.
it's
I
journey.
mean, think where you started at.
Yeah.
And now you're down here with us on Fox, but I'm telling you what, with the media like that and broadcasting, Dave, the journeys
Yep.
that people go through and the long nights, the sacrificing, all of that, man. Was there a moment where you were just like, man,
I'm burnt.
I'm burnt, man. I'm out of here, man. Or did you have some moment where you had to kind of talk to yourself and like, no, come on now, let's stick with it?
Yeah, there's been a few moments, it's just wondering if things are worth it sometimes.
Sure,
and,
sure.
and how long you want to kind of keep grinding. I had one of those. You guys may remember my old partner in crime, Peter Hood.
You mean your
Yeah.
son? Your son?
Yeah, my son.
You are
Peter.
the father, right?
No. We did get asked that a few times, though. But Peter
That's on
left.
his Twitter page.
Yeah.
I am not Peter Hood's dad.
Yeah, that's great.
Peter left in October of 2021.
You two were great together.
Yeah,
you
I
guys,
still
yeah.
one of my best friends. Still talk
Energy.
to him all the time. Love him to death. But he left back in October of 2021 for a new job down in Indianapolis for a better situation for he and his wife. And I had no ill will towards him. I was very happy for him, but it just took some time to find his replacement. And I went, it was 3 months that I went without a sports reporter, without
you're
a
doing
weekend
all
guy.
the
So
work.
we were doing it
Wow.
like every day. And I
Wow.
remember there
That'll
was
burn you out.
there was a stretch there that I was just like, how long am I going to do this? Like, how
Yeah,
long do I
how
want
long
to do
can
this?
I do
But and it was actually around state for football. I kind of had a reinvigoration for it for a second because, it stunk because you saw Adams Central lose, but just to kind of see the way that like the community rallied down there, and just
sure.
to see the way
Great
that
stuff.
they got down to state, and like
Yes.
that made it worth it. Homestead girls soccer,
Oh,
they
yeah.
won a state title during that stretch, and it was just a little stretch there that like I was like, okay, this is why I'm
do it.
doing this,
Yeah.
and it made it so much fun, and and kind of made me kind of sit back and remember things, and but it's been a fun 6 years down here. I've been down here 6 years already.
You got a new
And there's a new 2-year contract, right?
Yep, there is a new contract, so
yeah, we're not
so
losing.
I'm here for a little bit longer.
Good. We got him, Sonar.
I want him to
So.
stay here forever.
I know we
Be
do.
the next Dean
What-
Pantazzi.
Exactly. And you know what? Absolutely. Talented.
We need Four-Way needs a guy like that.
We
Hilliard
do.
Gates, he was the
Yeah.
man forever.
Yeah.
Then Art Salzberg and Dean
Dean had their show.
had their
Yeah.
show.
Yep.
Sort of what we're doing now.
Yep. Kind of what we're pushing on. We're always
And-
trying to push the envelope.
I want him to be the guy.
I think he
appreciate that.
could be very, very talented. And what's the one big event you covered, the one moment down here in the 260 that you covered that really stuck with you? Was there something? Was there a football championship or a soccer championship or a certain event, basketball or anything that you were just like, Wow, that was really cool. Was there?
So there's been quite a handful of them.
Okay.
I actually so part of like so I'm a big hunter. I put that
Sure.
on my little like thing for you guys. But hunting season in Wisconsin is unfortunately the week of state finals for football.
Oh,
so I've
jeez.
actually only ever been down to state for football once a year, or 1 year, and that was the year that Peter left. And that's just because I
Had to cover it.
yeah, well, I had to go down for it, but hunting to me is a super important thing. So like, it's my family's been doing it at the same spot up in northern Wisconsin since 1934.
Now,
So-
I'm going to ask.
Biggest rack you hit.
I actually just harvested my first buck this last year. It's tough hunting up there sometimes, and
Really?
I missed a few years because of other stuff going on.
Sure.
High school basketball, high school other stuff going on, and so missed a few years. I've been able to harvest other deer, but they've all just been does, and so I actually just harvested my first buck this last fall, and
How many point?
little 9-point buck.
9?
I named him Russell.
Russell.
So if you guys, I don't know why, it was just the first name that popped into my head, and
You haven't met anybody down here to take you out?
no, I actually haven't gone down here much. If I've ever gone, I've just been back home, and so
You should go. He should go hunting with Joe Titman and the Titman boys.
Yeah.
that
you wanna
would
go with
that would be a
Tippins?
lot of
There
fun.
you go.
That would be some
By
hunting,
the way,
man.
they'll take you out to
Perfect.
Montana.
Oh.
They own property the size of Allen County out there.
No kidding.
They could not run into each other out
But
there.
yeah, so getting back to the whole
Sure.
event thing. I mean, I'll never forget the first time I covered state boys basketball. That was just an unbelievable atmosphere at what
What
was
year?
then it was Blackhawk Christian's
Okay.
first state championship that they won. So what was that, 2019? I think it was, because I got here in 17.
18.
They lost in 17, 18 to Southwood, because that was Caleb's first freshman year.
Yeah.
And then they won it in 18, 19. So and then 20 was canceled, and
21.
then they won again in 21. So
22.
and
23.
then this last year in 23. So, but the first time I went down there was the 2019 one, and I'll never forget seeing just how packed then it was. Banker's Life at the time, but Cambridge Fieldhouse, how packed that place was for a 1A state championship boys basketball game. I was absolutely in shock at just kind of seeing that like that. Gone down to state softball a couple of times. Saw Leo play down there, lose a 1-0 heartbreaker to. I believe it was. Now I can't think of who the heck they played. But they lost a 1-0 heartbreaker a few years ago, and then to see the support, Eastside softball got down there at state a few years ago.
Yeah,
that
great
was
program.
That was a lot of fun, and so. And in terms of Indiana, those are the ones that have really impressed me.
Sure.
I've seen some really cool locally like atmospheres at some of the old SAC holiday tournaments. Seeing
Needs
some
to
of
come
those.
back again.
Yeah.
Goes to our whole point at the beginning of the show.
Please bring it back.
Seeing some of those championship games for a couple of years, just how packed Wayne High School was.
Sure.
That was unreal. But
Just
by
so you know,
far,
it used to be in the Coliseum.
yep, I do know that.
You heard us commiserate before you came on.
Speaking of the Coliseum, though, probably the most
Turd Cup.
cool thing
I
that
know.
I've ever seen since I've been here was 2021 when the Comets won the ECHL championship.
Yeah.
Seeing the way that arena was packed for a minor league hockey game.
Yeah,
I
that's
have
great.
never seen anything like that. It was unbelievable. I mean, there wasn't an empty seat in
Me
that
and
place.
Matt used to see that all the time with the Fletcher years and
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
Pokey
had
Reddicks.
season tickets for 8 years and go
It'd
and
be packed.
every night. You were
Yeah.
watching and you're watching quality hockey. I mean,
you
that
grew
was-
up here, you're thinking
yeah.
you're watching the pros.
Yeah.
You know, the NHL.
I mean, yeah, you're not
That's
wrong.
what
And
we're programmed here.
And it's so it was really, really cool to see that a couple years ago. Back in Minnesota, I'll never forget boys hockey state tournament up there. That is like
that's
that
huge,
is
man.
that
Huge,
is
isn't it?
yeah that is their
That's pro.
It is unbelievable. They play their boys hockey and girls hockey state tournaments at the Xcel Energy Center, which is where the Minnesota Wild play. And they for the boys for a quarterfinal boys game. Now there's two classes. There's Class A and Class 2A. It's because there's just it's just not enough schools to all play hockey. For a quarterfinal game in the state tournament at the Xcel Energy Center, it was my first year. I had just moved to Minnesota 3 months before, and they had more in attendance there than I think three other NHL arenas that night.
Wow, man.
For a high school boys hockey quarterfinal game.
Wow.
It was unbelievable. I couldn't believe. You would have thought you were at an NHL game just because of how many people there were, and nope, just another high school hockey game in Minnesota.
Wow. Justin, your time covering Blackhawk, did you get close to the Davidsons?
I did. I've been very close with the Davidsons. I've seen. I was. Frankie, I think, was a junior when I was my first year here. So I've seen Frankie from high school through college. I've seen Marcus come all the way up through high school. I've seen Jimmy come all the way up through high school.
We had Jimmy and Pickett come here.
And
they were great. Those two kids were great.
And then, God willing, see their next couple of kids come up here in the next few years. But Mark and Lisa have been always, great to me, especially. And so, I can still sit there and hear Mark's voice in my head. And miss him every day, and
amazing human being.
Yeah, he was, and so I was very lucky to get to know them before everything happened, and I will say that was one of the things I'm most grateful about moving down here for was getting to meet Mark Davidson and his family.
From Elkhorn to the 260. Congratulations on the new contract.
Thank you,
WFTV.
Exactly. Now we're excited.
Keep him here.
We want to keep you here, but I got to ask you, all the success. What's next? What's coming down the line the next 5, 10, 15 years for the great Justin Prince?
I'm not sure. It just kind of depends where, things go for me. I've been down here 6 years, and I think if you would have asked me when I moved down here 6 years ago if I was even going to make it, the length of my first contract, I would have been like, I don't know. I see what's out there and see what's next, and I think that's one of the cool things about this job.
Living here,
is one of the cool things about this job is there are so many opportunities, so many places all over this country to be able to do what I do. Which is not the case for a lot of professions. But to get to see so much of the U.S., it's kind of a cool thing. But right now I'm happy where I'm at. We're if things change and personally, etc., professionally, I've always said I wanted to work back in Milwaukee just because that's home. My mom and dad can watch, grandma can watch, all my other family can watch. But if that's going to happen, it's going to happen. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm
and you stay here for another 30.
Who knows? That could happen as well.
Get some ownership.
Last question before we do this rapid fire round. We have a rapid fire round coming up. Where Sonar's beautiful wife, Crystal, came up with this, where we're going to kind of ask you some quick, short questions.
Okay.
But before that, every night when they say, hey, 3, 2, 1, you're on, and you look in that camera, do you still have that same kind of excitement? And do you still have butterflies or excitement as if it was the first time, Justin?
Yeah, I mean there's always a little bit of a certain excitement and butterfly effect to it. I will say I don't get nearly as nervous as the first time I did it, because the first time I think I was just about to puke as soon as the as soon as the cameras went off, because I was so nervous that I just wanted to do a good job and whatever. But
you do, man.
Well, I appreciate that, but no, there's always some excitement, some nervousness, especially when you've got if you've been to a basketball game or you've been to these football games and you've got a really cool highlight and you're excited to get it on the air and or tell a really cool story, and I've been fortunate to be able to tell some really good ones, but so there's always that excitement to kind of get to go on air and I mean everyone always says, oh, I can't imagine doing your job. Just knowing there's so many people. I'm like, at one point you just think, oh, it's just you and the camera.
Yeah,
you're
that's exactly what you do. When I did all the big high school games, Justin, I would sit there with Jeff Mahoney or whoever, and I would always tell myself, man, it's just like we're sitting here having a beer, watching ball.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what you're saying too. You're just talking to the camera.
I have a lot of beers still watching you do your show.
Hey, I do have one question for you.
Go ahead, Brummy.
How big of a scramble drill is it getting ready for the locker room?
It can be a hell of a Friday night.
I bet.
Oh, I bet so.
I've always
Especially when you're doing it by yourself.
yeah.
Oh, man.
When I'm doing it by myself, it can be a little bit more. I will say I'm very, very fortunate that obviously there's Elijah and I that you see
Right.
every Friday night, but we have a group of 3, 4, 5 other people sometimes, depending on what week and who they are, that willingly donate their time to us to help, and they love sports themselves, so they're willing and everything to go out, but we couldn't do what we do without them, and so I'm very thankful for what's been probably close to a dozen different people that have shot during my 6 years here.
Sure.
But there's a lot of different scrambling, because I'm usually going to 3 games on a Friday night for football.
I wonder about that.
And then during basketball season, it's anywhere between 4 and 6, sometimes 7 basketball games and stuff that I'm trying to get to. So it can be a bit of a scramble drill, especially if this game's going really fast or this game's going really slow, and you're like, but it's I wouldn't have it any other way. It's those are the nights that make my job a lot of fun too.
Now I got to ask you one more question
Yeah.
before the rapid fire. Do you play pickleball?
I have not played. I have not played since high school.
Come on, Brummy.
had-
We have to
you had to go
accept.
with it.
We
So,
have to accept pickleball, brother.
We
Back to the Future, baby.
we did play in high school a little bit. They
you
would
did-
have
you played in high school. Can you believe this, Justin?
I know
How
it's
old are you,
kind of crazy.
Justin?
What?
How old are you?
I am 32 years old.
You're
So
young,
I graduated
man.
high school
So-
14
Yeah,
years
he,
ago.
so
told you
he
Ty
played
did
in
it.
high school. Did you hear that?
And
Dave?
my oldest is 30. He didn't do it, but
So-
Ty did it.
Yeah, interesting.
we had like units in gym class, or if it was a rainy, shitty day,
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that,
put a little
we'd
pickleball.
go inside, and that would be that'd be the easiest thing for him to set up. So we'd play some pickleball, and so
Yeah.
I wasn't unfamiliar with it. But 15 years ago, you say pickleball to someone, and they'd be like, "What the hell's that?"
Exactly.
But nowadays, obviously, it's becoming such a growing trend. So
It is. It's
it's
exciting
yeah.
out here. So, yeah. Dave, you want to start with the rapid fire with Justin?
Oh baby.
Okay. Since you've been here for 6 years, you said.
6 years already. Yep.
All right. What is your favorite restaurant in the fort?
My favorite restaurant in the fort. Shout out to Lucille's.
You gotta love that. He
Lucille's
didn't
Bar.
hesitate. That's
Shout
my
out
man.
to
You see that
Lucille's Bar.
sonar? He didn't even hesitate.
boom.
I
Hey.
see you, Justin.
And-
That's what I'm
Boom,
talking
he went
about.
there.
You didn't even
the
hesitate. brother.
Wilson family is really happy right about now.
Shout out to Lucille's Barbecue.
Yeah, and they will be catering the Stab Ready Scramble this year on August 19th for lunch.
Man, he went fast, Joe.
That was beautiful, man.
I tell you what,
People sit back and think,
That's the talent.
no, it's anytime I have someone. Actually, one of my buddies from Minnesota was traveling through, and I met up with him a couple weeks ago, and he said, "Where do you want to go for lunch?" And I said immediately, I was like, "Lucille's. We're going for barbecue." And he said, "Okay, let's go." And he was very impressed. Yeah. So
What?
he did.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
What is something about you that people would be surprised to know?
as much as I do love sports, I can also be a bit of a little bit of a nerd at times. Like I do love my video games sometimes, and
You have time for video games?
Not always, but sometimes. I love Harry Potter.
Do you really?
Grew up
there you go. That's,
reading all those books.
Now that's what I love about the 260.
Yeah.
I see Justin
dancing
Prince on
bear.
TV. Yep, a dancing bear. And you know what? I would never put Harry Potter
Oh, yeah.
with him, and now we learned something.
Harry
tonight.
Potter, and then
how about that, Sonar? Harry
bunch,
Potter.
bunch of the superhero stuff too. Love the Marvel movies. Love all that stuff. So,
cool, man.
so I geek out on that shit all the
That's
time.
awesome, man.
Landon Livingston, we had him on, and that's where the dancing bear,
Oh, okay.
because he did dance.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
we couldn't believe it,
we
man.
was complimenting
Dance
how
for
fast-
Disney, man. Landon Livingston.
Hey, you got to get those nimble feet as an old
You
lineman.
know, we was talking about how quick his feet are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was
Get
saying
it from-
was-
get it from
I was
dancing.
saying it's from him playing basketball. No, it's from him doing
yeah.
dance.
Do you guys have any fun or weird family tradition in your family?
I don't. Well, so obviously hunting is one of my more favorite family traditions. Again,
Sure.
my dad's side of the family, they've been doing it in the same spot since 1934. It started
Wow.
in a little tent,
Wow.
out in the woods, and now it's evolved into we have a nice cabin that we hunt out of and stuff, and it's a big family affair every year. We've got family that kind of comes back from all over. My dad's got a cousin
Neat.
that lives out in Arizona that comes back. But I will say this: one of my favorite things is We don't do like a traditional like Christmas with my grandma's side of the family. We do a big seafood boil. We do crab legs and
Seafood boil,
shrimp and all that stuff. Oh yeah, every year.
I can do that.
Oh yeah,
like that.
So that's one of my other
Interesting.
favorite traditions too.
Interesting.
My question is, what are you watching on Netflix?
What am I watching right now? It's Suits.
I've been seeing that.
Suits. I kept seeing clips of it all over, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, whatever it was, and I have been wanting to watch it for years, but I just never quite knew where to watch it. And then all of a sudden, it was on Netflix, and I absolutely dove into it, and I think like halfway through it
Have
already.
you ever watched Peaky Blinders?
Never watched Peaky Blinders.
You gotta get into it,
I've
man.
heard some good things.
Gotta get through the first 3 or 4.
I know. I'm all the way down here, down here now. I will say I sped through that quarterback series that they had on there.
Yeah.
I was
Did you
really
like it?
I loved it.
You loved it, huh?
It was
Second season coming.
Second
Been
season
proved.
coming, but loved that. Suits is my current go-to though.
We'll say this before we go to the next one.
Yeah.
Watched the new episodes of Justified last night. It's legit.
It's legit. That's what legit, huh?
It's
Check
good
it
as
out,
old-
huh? You give it the Dave Rickert stamp of approval.
That's why he doesn't go into work till about 11 o'clock.
That's the reason.
Rummy.
You better get them, Charlene.
And then it's lunch.
How about music, Justin? What do you listen to
A
music-wise?
lot of everything, man. I mean,
Interesting.
it's just kind of. I think a lot of it is the just the influences that you had growing up
Sure.
through all the sports that you played and everything, especially getting to college. Grew up huge on country,
Yeah.
90s music, 80s rock, stuff like that from my dad.
Yeah.
But I was a big country guy for the longest time and refused to be about anything else. And then you start getting into other locker rooms that listen to a lot of different things, and so I like rock, I like rap, I like hip hop, I like pop. Country, it varies and it's all over the place, and I love it.
It's so funny because we were in my office, I think it was last week, and Ryan Preston's kind of working with the show. He plays basketball up at
it was
Trine.
here.
Yep.
Was it here?
It
Okay, I'm
was
sorry.
here.
Okay, it was here.
'Cause I
Ryan's
was
great kid.
stunned.
I actually remember that name, Ryan Preston at Trine. He was dominant high school basketball player for Carroll, but we love Ryan. Shouts out to Ryan Preston. But him and Dave and I were sitting around talking about music, and Dave says, yeah, Dave was talking about Van Halen and Ryan Preston. This is where I felt old, Sonar. Ryan Preston turns to Dave and he says, "Who's that?" Oh, I thought Dave was gonna. I thought Dave was gonna
That was
break.
probably good, and I wasn't here that
I
night.
thought Dave was gonna break jump. I thought Dave was gonna break the album out right there on him, man.
Joe, I just sat there and stared at him for a little bit, like he's messing with me. And I'm like, "Are you serious?"
Fantastic, man.
And then he had to look it up on his phone.
That was what was really funny. Was I was like, man. I said,
That one
then
hurts.
I was like, Motley Crue, and he didn't know that.
I
one
didn't know
either,
that one either, man.
Now, I got kind of a tough question for you now.
Okay.
And I'll give you a moment because we get all kinds of great answers. Past or present for Justin Prince, who is that one person that you'd love to have a cup of coffee with, or that one person that you'd love to have that conversation with? We've had just a wide range. When Coach Abs was on, it was very nice. He talked about his father and his grandfather who had passed. But we've had people on that have mentioned, political figures, religious figures. But it's always kind of interesting, a lot of the answers we get with that. But for Justin Prince, past and present, who is that one individual that Justin Prince would love to sit down and have a cup of coffee with?
So, from a personal perspective, I'll go with this one first. I'll have a couple of different answers.
Go
for this,
ahead.
But my first one is my grandpa.
Second time for that answer.
My grandpa was one of my heroes in my life. He passed away back in 2014.
Tell us his name.
His name's Raleigh. Rollin.
Was
Prince.
was that kind of the hunting side too?
Yeah, that was my dad's dad.
Okay.
But we lost him back in 2014 after just some lengthy battle with some illnesses. But I actually have a dog tag that's got his thumbprint on it that I wear every single day.
That's beautiful.
So,
Look at that sonar. Isn't that beautiful? Wow,
so
what a tribute to his grandfather.
So I wear it every single day.
Man, isn't that
but
beautiful,
like,
Matt?
but
awesome.
so if I could, just be able to have one more cup of coffee, one more beer,
Sure.
something with Grandpa, that would be that. But
beautiful, man.
from like another personal, from thinking about favorite athletes, whatever kind of. So first off, Hank Aaron.
Great answer.
I wore 44 in high school for playing baseball. Always just wanted to, hit balls
And
like
you know
Hank
what?
Aaron did.
You know what, Justin? What's interesting is we've had a couple other guys mention Hank Aaron, and he kind of transcended the generations, didn't
did.
he, Dave?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He did.
In my opinion, he's the greatest.
Power hitter.
Well, not just power
mean,
hitter. He's got the best records.
Yeah.
He's in 1, 2, 1.
Yeah.
Right in that range. He's got the best percentage.
Yeah.
And I mean, and he's so revered. I mean, and he passed away obviously, in the last couple of years, but he's so revered up in Milwaukee, and seeing how much they love him in Milwaukee and within that Brewers organization is unbelievable. So like, he'd be a guy just because I'd love to pick his brain and just hear his stories about baseball and playing all over.
I got his autograph at Stucky
Did you?
Brothers.
Okay.
Did you really? You got
Stucky-
Hank Aaron's autograph?
Stucky Brothers Appliance Store.
Okay.
They brought him in.
That's pretty
I got
cool.
Johnny Bench's autograph at AMC Jeep.
Yeah.
Wow.
His brother owned it.
Okay.
Billy
And
Bench.
then from another like athlete perspective, Reggie White. Reggie White was one of my favorite football players. I mean, from the '90s. I mean, the minister of defense. Seeing him, help take the Packers to a Super Bowl championship team in 1996. Like, that was, so cool to see. Because I mean, no one wanted to come to Green Bay at that time.
Nope.
They were
Right.
terrible.
Right.
They were terrible before
Yeah,
he and
with-
Favre got there.
You know, they
and
had Don Machowski.
Yeah.
Mikowski. Yep. Don
Mikowski.
Magic
Mikowski
Man.
and
The Magic Man.
Yeah, they were bad, weren't they?
They were bad up until Favre's first couple of years, but Reggie White, he signed with Green Bay, and it changed everything. You know, Title Town once again, and plus on top of that, it's, I mean, especially growing up like as an old lineman and being a guy that like I was always like, okay, I want to try and learn from the best, and he was one of the best, and that would just be a guy that I'd love to pick his brain. And then professionally, Stuart Scott, just getting to sit down with him and just again pick his brain about the job and just hear some of his life experiences, things like that. I would have loved nothing more.
Great answer, Dave. You want to?
One last one.
Yeah.
What's your greatest sports moment? Yours.
My greatest sports moment. Oh man, that one is tough. Probably my senior year of college. We beat Whitewater. Actually,
wow.
It was my senior year. It was the 5th and final time we were playing them. I'll never forget it. I actually had a terrible block on the
Beat
play.
Goliath.
I had a terrible block on the play. Quarterback got hit because of me, but he dropped the ball into our wide receiver. His name was Theo Malio, on a fly pattern down the right side. Dropped it right into his hands despite getting hit. So shout out to Mitch Bowe. Dropped the ball right into his hands. Scored a touchdown on the play. And then Whitewater was coming down the field, and our defense held. They blocked a field goal to win the game.
Wow,
and,
what a game, huh?
And I'll never forget that one because we were 2-8 my senior year of college. We weren't we were in a lot of games, but just couldn't quite put stuff together. And we beat Whitewater though. After getting our clocks cleaned by them earlier in the season down in Whitewater, so that was pretty cool because I ended my career with we beat every team in the conference, and we also lost every team in the conference. But that was probably one of the best moments in my athletic career was getting to beat Whitewater.
Nice.
Well, Justin, the 260 is proud of you.
Hey, thank you.
And you know
Appreciate
what?
you guys.
Thank you, brother,
Hey,
for coming on.
absolutely.
And we are blessed to have the
Very
talent
thankful.
in the media, like
Appreciate
guys
you
like
guys.
Justin Prince.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
That's
I
it.
want one
Go
thing.
ahead, Dave.
Yeah.
I want to wish out good. Really hoping that Georgetown Little League
Yes.
does well in the state tournament this week.
Yep. Best of luck to them.
That starts tomorrow. So going to be minus one player a couple of times because of a wedding.
It happens, Dave.
Yeah.
Dave's like, cancel the wedding.
I told him to cancel the wedding. Dad didn't like that idea, but no, I've watched them play twice now, and I mean they are really good.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank everybody, Sonar, Charlene, Dave, Matt, and Justin Prince. And Dave,
Appreciate you guys.
another name spoken with pride
Yes.
in the 260. Justin Prince and Grandpa Raleigh would be proud of you, brothers.
Thank you very
know
much.
what?
Appreciate that.
Thanks for
Thanks a lot,
joining
man.
us. and
Absolutely. Thank you.
We are
Thanks, bro.
the 260, everybody.
Thank
Cool.
you, Justin.
Beautiful, Justin.